These are really strange times we're living in, and they're downright disastrous for a lot of people. But amidst all of this, there is a chance, might be small, but it's a chance anyway, to do something better. I'll discuss this right after this intro. Hello and welcome to another video. My name is Elmo Karjalainen. It's good to have you along. You can call me this guy if my name is tricky to pronounce. Today I'm going to be talking about that coronavirus and what it's doing to the world, and kind of try to shift perspective a bit from worry into the perspective of hope, and shed some light on some things that might give you hope and make you think more positively about this whole thing. Before I get going, it's not my intention to say or belittle this thing in any way, shape or form. It's a disaster. What can I say? It can kill people, which is not something to be taken lightly, and the financial implications could be absolutely devastating. At the same time, there can be certain positive outcomes from this whole thing. Let's think of the Black Death, for instance, which absolutely ravaged Europe. That was at the same time a catalyst for big social change in Europe. Now, this thing that we're going through now, it won't be as disastrous as the Black Death was, and it won't be the catalyst for that kind of social change, and it's not kind of the point is not to compare the two. The point is merely to show that even a disaster like the Black Death had some positive outcomes, and this might as well. So, what are these positive things? Well, I'm not going to talk about social change because that's a different discussion. We can hope that this will change society for the better, but I am going to discuss what you can do differently, what you can do to improve your kind of whatever it is that you do. And I'm going to use myself as an example for that. But the first thing is, of course, this being the guitar channel, you can stay at home, or you have to stay at home pretty much, and that means you can practice a lot more. Now, if you have a family, that might be a bit tricky, but even then, maybe you can find a bit of practice time, and that will help stuff. But in general, you can practice more, because a lot of people have difficulty balancing work life and practice time, and now a lot of people can't really go to work because they're isolated, either self-isolated or quarantined or whatever, and a lot of people do now have the time to practice their instruments. Actually, Yngwie Malmsteen had a challenge over on Instagram, hashtag Yngwie Malmsteen challenge, basically challenging you to film yourself practicing and the progress you make, because you might be amazed by the results. What I'm proposing, however, is slightly more kind of deep. This whole situation, if you're the kind of, or if you're one of those people who now doesn't go to work, or your regular everyday life is disrupted in a big way, this is now a very good chance to take a step back from that everyday life and actually have a look at it to see what's good about it and what's not. So you hear this said quite often, that people hate Mondays, Mondays suck. I think it was Ricky Gervais that said, I'm not sure, might be wrong about this, that said something along the lines of, if you think Mondays suck, maybe it's your life that sucks. Now, that's a bit harsh, but there is an element of truth in this. I know we have to work to make a living and all of that, but maybe it's worth critically examining your life if you're one of those people who thinks Mondays suck. And it doesn't have to be your work, it can be anything. what I'm getting at is that maybe you should look at why you do stuff in the first place. And making money is absolutely fine. If you go to work, you just want your paycheck, that's fine. If you're fine with it. Are you actually fine with it? For me, I've been in that situation many times, and for me it didn't really work. And what that's done for me, this whole situation, it's actually a longer process, goes back to last summer, and I will probably have something about that at a later time. But anyway, is that I'm taking a step back and looking at why I'm doing things, because I've noticed that when I have the why aligned with the what, so let's say I have this music thing that I do, which is playing guitar, and it's promoting this music, and along with promotion comes email and all that. When I get kind of drawn too far into that promotion thing, which is still basically playing guitar, I spend a lot of time answering emails and all that, and then it's not, suddenly they're not, the playing guitar bit, why I play guitar doesn't align with what I'm doing, because I'm not actually playing guitar anymore. And it's the same thing if I were to play totally the wrong kind of music. I've done that. Suddenly I'm still playing guitar, but the why and the what aren't, they're not aligned. And that kind of leads to a situation where you're not really happy. So this can be a good opportunity for you to take a step back and look at why you do things in the first place. And is there something that you can kind of cut down on? So you don't have to change careers entirely. So for me, it's been at some point I decided I wouldn't read emails every day. I'd just read them once a week, maybe every second week. I'd stop answering everyone on YouTube in the comments because it was getting too much. I still try to answer most people. I still try to click the heart thing for basically everyone except mean people. I might do that if they're funny. But kind of align the why and the what, so that, okay, I like playing a certain type of music because it inspires me, and hopefully that inspires others. I'm not inspiring too many people by answering emails. That's what I'm getting at. So you can take a step back and try to align the why and the what. And it's a great opportunity for self-development as well, not just practicing your instrument, but stuff you would regularly never do. It could be practicing your instrument. Now is the time to practice stuff that you never would practice otherwise, to actually develop. Because if you just keep playing the same exercises more, you'll just become more of those exercises, and you're not actually expanding what you are as a musician. But that's totally fine. If that's what you want, you will become more that. Remember, more is more. So Yngwie Malmsteen is more Yngwie Malmsteen than anyone else has ever been. But you might want to learn a different technique. Let's say, I'm bored with all of this, you realize suddenly, and you decide to learn chicken picking. Great! But it can be different stuff as well. So I've been thinking a lot about why. I've been thinking a lot about, or studying, learning, motivation, willpower, and all that kind of stuff from a non-musical standpoint, from people who are actually into that stuff, and trying to think about it in terms of music and in terms of teaching music. I'm a school teacher. I teach 13 to 16-year-olds. I teach music in elementary school. So simultaneously with me having to teach at a distance, I'm trying to actually change how I teach in the long term for the better. That's basically where I think the potential of this whole thing, this whole crappy thing we're in, that's where I think the potential for good lies in all of this. Because we will come out of this at the other end, and kind of thinking about how to improve what it is you're doing, maybe change what you're doing in small ways, or maybe even totally revolutionizing these things and coming out at the other end better for it. That's one thing. And then the other thing is that while you're actually doing these things, it helps you keep yourself kind of occupied with something positive, while a lot of people are basically thinking about, do I have enough toilet roll? Seriously, toilet roll. What are they thinking? Diarrhea? This is some kind of mass diarrhea thing? Maybe they're thinking of sitting at home. Anyway, so think about these things. Re-watch this video if you have to, but think about, because I was quite quick with some stuff. If you're in that situation where it sucks, I know you can't go to work, you're locked in, especially if you're alone, think about what you can do differently. And one last point, and this is maybe a bigger point even than all of the others combined, is help other people. I mentioned that I play guitar because I was inspired, or I said something along those lines. This is basically it. I was inspired, so I play the kind of music that inspires me, because hopefully that will inspire others. And the same goes for help. I've had lots of people help me in the past, and lots of people continue to help me, for instance, over on Patreon. A big thank you to you people. If you want to check out my Patreon, there's a link in the description. But really, the big thing is help other people, because they in turn might help someone else, and that will basically spread good. And in this time, we need to help each other more than ever. And maybe that's where the social change thing might come in. Yeah, I don't want to get into that whole social change thing too much, because that would be a 5-hour video. But there is that whole element to it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Watch more of my videos if you want to. There's a playlist here somewhere. If you don't want to, fine. Play guitar. Try to enjoy the good things in life, because there are still good things in life. That was everything from me today. I hope you liked it. Give it a like, sub, all of that. Yeah, blah blah. See you in another one. Bye.